Hello, scholars. I wanted to go over 4.1 expert task Jamboard sample. And on this, I'm going to show you what an exemplar Jamboard would look like for our expert task. Now, in this particular task, it was a cattle ranching task, and they had a list of all the different ranches and how many cows were on each ranch. The first task asks you to list the ranch from least to most cows. So on my chart here, I put them in the correct order. Solano Ranch had 5,063 cows. Sunrise Ranch had 20,032. Paso Roble Ranch had 20,118. San Miguel had 24,000 cows. San Juan Ranch had 31,000 cows. And Alcala Ranch had 31,985 cows. So I put them in order from least to greatest. Then I explained my work. Again, I'm using the journal sample that's on the third slide here to go over how I got my work. I solved the problem by looking at the number of cows in each ranch. So first I looked at the number of the cows. I know the chart is accurate because I put them in order from least to greatest. The steps I followed were that I first noticed that Solano Ranch had a number that was in the thousands, so it was the smallest number. So this is the only one that had thousands. It didn't have 10,000s in it. And then it says, then I looked at the ranches with the 2 in the 10,000s place, which included these 3 right here, Sunrise Ranch, Paso Roble Ranch, and San Miguel Ranch. And then I put those in order. I noticed these had 20,000, so I had to go to the next digit. These had 20,032 and 20,118, and that is smaller than that one. And then finally 24,000 would be the largest because it has a 4 in the thousands place. Finally, it says, lastly, I looked at the 3 in the 10,000s place and ordered those. So these both have 31,000, but this one is 31,000 and this one is 31,900. So there's a 9 in the hundreds place here. So I know San Juan is smaller than Alcala Ranch. And then the strategy I used to look at each place value and put the ranches in order from least to greatest. So you had to explain your work on problem number 1 here. 2 is a little more complicated, and there was a lot more steps to it. So it says the owner of the Solano Ranch wants 20,000 cows on her ranch. She decides to buy cattle from 3 other ranchers. So this part right here is important to know that you have to take from 3 ranches. Another important part is that no ranch can have fewer than 20,000 cows in it. So it's important that your final answer does not have make any of the ranches have under 20,000 cows. So for instance, if I were to use Paso Roble Ranch, which only had 20,000, I can only take 118 out of it because you don't want to make it under 20,000. Likewise, in the Sunrise Ranch, they only had 20,032, so I could only take 32 cows out of that. So I try to take from the ranches that had the bigger number. There are a lot of answers that are correct here, as long as you made sure that none of the ranches, when you took cows out of them, had less than 20,000. There's a lot of different ways you could have subtracted this. I am simply showing one way you could have possibly done it. So what I did was, and then the last direction says, how many cows will each ranch have after she buys them? So you had to make sure that you added that as well too. So first I looked at how many cows does she need. So she wants to have 20,000 cows, and I know I need to subtract 5,063 from 20,000, so I did that here. I know she needs a total of 14,937 cows. So the first thing I looked at was the largest. The largest ranch was the Alcala Ranch, and this one had 31,985 cows. So I took 10,000 out of that one, which left it with 21,985, which is fine because you can't have any less than 20,000, and it was still within that 20,000 range. Then I took 4,000 because I knew I needed 14,000. So I took 4,000 away from the San Juan Ranch, and they would have 27,000 left over after we were done. So that was fine. I could take 4,000 from them. Then I had to see, okay, well, I just took 10,000 from the Alcala Ranch and 4,000 from the San Juan Ranch. I know now that I have 14,000 total cows, okay? But I still need 937 cows. So what I did was I next took from San Juan Ranch, and San Juan Ranch had 24,000, so I knew I could take away at least 937, which is what I needed. So I took away 937 and it still had 23,063. So it was okay. So I took 937 from that ranch. So here's my answer. I solved the problem by subtracting cows from 3 ranches to make sure that Solano Ranch had 20,000 cows. I know taking 10,000 cows from Alcala Ranch, 4,000 cows from San Juan Ranch, and 937 cows from San Miguel Ranch is accurate because they add up to the amount of cows that she needs to have 20,000 cows. The steps I followed were to find out how many cows she needed. Then I took cows from each ranch and made sure that no ranch had less than 20,000 cows. The strategies I used were addition algorithm, standard algorithm for addition, and also standard algorithm for subtraction. So I put those in my explanation as well. And the last step to follow is this page is to help you with your sample journal. If you wanted to use this, that's all I did was copy these and put them into my explanation. But it says use these sentence frames below to help you with your explanations on the previous pages. And then finally, you have to move your circle onto the place where you think you got your answer on your rubric. I put 3s on both. And finally, you do also have to explain your answer. So I gave myself a 3 in each category because it's a little bit bigger. I made sure to break down all of my steps and my answer was correct. I also explained my reasoning for both problems and used sentence stems to explain. Okay, so that is the end of this expert task. There are a lot of steps to it, but you had to show your work and then you had to explain it for problem 1. Then you had to show your work for number 2 and you had to explain it for number 2. And 2 is pretty complicated. There's a lot of steps to it, but you have to show all of your steps in order for it to be accurate. Hope this was helpful on looking at expert task 4.1. Have a great day.